The reply to a two-pronged question that I have been asked tacitly. My dear loyal brothers, the first, why is it that apart from work related to the Risale-i Nur, you don't want to meet personally with people who have a good opinion of your person and look on you as holding a high station, yet have powerful relations with the Risale-i Nur and whom you love dearly? Why do you prefer to meet with those who do not nurture such a high opinion of you and you pay more attention to them? The answer. As I said in the second letter of the 33rd word, people at this time sell their favors very expensively to those in need. For example, they suppose an unfortunate like myself to be righteous or a saint and give me a loaf of bread. Then they want an acceptable prayer in return. But rather than paying such a price, I don't accept the favor. Just as I cite this as a reason for not accepting gifts, so people other than the special students of the Risale-i Nur display powerful interest and services thinking that I hold a high station. In return, in this world they want luminous results like the saints, Ehl-i Velayet. Then they perform services for us and evince interest, and this implies favors. But because I don't possess the prize they want in return for favors of this sort, I am ashamed. Then they are disillusioned when they realize my unimportance and even become slack in their service. It's true that ambition and lack of contentment are acceptable in some ways in matters pertaining to the hereafter, but on our way and in our service due to certain faults, it leads to complaints and helplessness arising from disillusionment instead of thanks, and even to the abandonment of service. For this reason, because the contentment of our way leads always to thanks, steadfastness, and resoluteness, we are obliged to be content with the fruits and results of our service, although we are ambitious and aspiring in the performance of it. For example, thanks to the service of the Risale-i Nur, this result has ensured for thousands of believers in Sparta and its environs an extraordinary strength of belief, and is sufficient for our extraordinary service. Even if someone were to appear who was as illustrious as 10 spiritual poles, and were to raise 1,000 people to the level of sainthood, he still could not lower this degree of the Risale-i Nur's achievements. The true students of the Risale-i Nur content themselves with results like this. In place of the heartfelt contentment of that lofty Paul's followers, ensured by his extraordinary station and his rulings, the Risale-i Nur's unshakable proofs satisfy its students to a far greater degree, and moreover, their state of mind and belief spreads to others and is beneficial for them. The satisfaction of those followers, however, is particular to them and personal. In fact, what they call in logic kaziye-i makbule, that is, accepting without proof the words of the greed, does not in logic express certainly, and surely it is only a probable assumption. The certain proofs of logic do not look to the good opinions of people, and people who are generally accepted, they look to irrefutable evidence. All the proofs of the Risale-i Nur are of this conclusive type. For exactly like the realities and truths of belief which the saints experience through their pious acts and worship and asceticism and on their spiritual journeyings, and which they observe behind veils, the Risale-i Nur has opened a way to reality in knowledge in place of worship. It has opened up a way leading to the essence of reality with logical proofs and scholarly arguments in place of spiritual journeyings and recitations. It has opened up a way of the greater sanctity directly within the science of theology, the science of the tenets of belief, and the science of the principles of religion in place of the science of Sufism and the Tariqat. It has conquered the misguidance arising from modern science and philosophy, which this age has defeated the currents of Sufism, as is clear for all to see. Let there be no mistake in the smile just as the powerful, logical truth of the Qur'an has delivered other religions from the assaults of naturalist philosophy and its overwhelming them, becoming a point of support and to an extent preserving their fundamental principles, which are based on compliance and not reason, so too the Risale-i Nur, a miracle and light of the Qur'an at this time, has saved the imitative faith of the ordinary believers from the assaults of the misguidance arising from materialist philosophy, and as a point of support for all believers, has become an assailable citadel for those near and far. In the face of today's awesome, unprecedented misguidance, it preserves the ordinary believers' belief from doubts and their Islam from baseless scruples. Just at the time the believers everywhere, even in India and China, are being shaken by the predominance of the fearsome misguidance of the age, and they are falling into doubt as to the truth of Islam, they hear that a work has appeared that proves conclusively all the truths of belief, and defeating philosophy silences atheism. Their doubts and scruples disappear, and their belief is saved and strengthened. The second part of the question. In one of your letters, you described seriously a poetical subtle point that some birds came to you and your students when your letters were being read and written out. But birds aren't acquainted with the state of the world and don't know the usefulness of the Risale-i Nur in the face of it, do they? The answer. At the divine command and with divine permission and through dominical power and strength, all animals have a shepherd or supervisor from among the angels, as do the birds. Even if they are not aware of it, at the divine command and through dominical inspiration, their shepherd drives them on. That natural impulse results from the inspiration that comes to the birds. They manifest the inspiration. A day-old bee flies a day's distance in the air through that natural inspiration. Through that dominical impulse, it returns to its hive without losing its way. Indeed, just as the globe of the earth objected to the oppression visited on the Risale-i Nur and its students, and the atmosphere responded with lack of rain and called to its confiscation, and the clouds applauded with rain on its being returned, so too the birds may well take interest. For sure, in the face of the crimes of men which destroy a village and kill 1,000 people with the egg of a bomb laid by artificial birds, and those destructive human birds which lay those hellish eggs, and the tyrannous, cruel ruination of the globe and of humankind, those animate birds will applaud the Risale-i Nur, which illuminates the future so effectively. It is these very subtle points that those letters contain. My brothers, I was truly gratified by the letter written by the keeper of the Risale-i Nur power station, who knows fully the worth of the fruits of belief and has earned the name of fruit seller. For, like Hulusi and Hakkı, the sincere friendship and brotherhood between them have been constant and continues for close on 20 years, and their attachment to the Risale-i Nur and connection with it and loyalty towards it also persist, and like the sincere relations between them, become firmer and are not shaken by events. I offer thanks to Almighty God that He has bestowed on the Risale-i Nur such loyal and utterly sincere students who are good examples for others, and offer thanks in patience, sabri, in their service of the Risale-i Nur, ever sincere, Hulusi, in right, Hakkı. My brothers in the vicinity of the fruit seller, and especially the loyal people of Barla whose names I can't say but are known, very often draw me in the imagination to the past and that region and take me around Barla and its mountains. I very often think of them and those places and I can't forget them. I send them countless greetings. The letter from Hasan Shukri, the preacher from Kozja, pleased me greatly. I send him my greetings. I send greetings to the farmers, the innocent children, the unlettered, the sisters, and those who write with their pens, and to all my brothers, and offer prayers for them. The enduring one, he is the enduring one, your brother, Said Nursi. I saw the letter of Küçük Ali, the hero of the auspicious group, which was returned to me by the cart having been seized from the post before it ever reached me. He had decided to write out the whole Risale-i Nur once every 2 years and has done so. With this heroic act, he affirmed my premonition that having seen a true Abdurrahman in Büyük Mustafa, the first student of the Risale-i Nur, I would see many more after him, for he carried out that blessed Mustafa's duty to the letter. And Hafiz Mustafa showed in prison after having been a full assistant during Hafiz Ali's lifetime that after his death he was a full heir. That is to say, in that elevated and blessed group they have performed to the full the work of the Risale-i Nur that I had hoped for 18 years ago and continue to do so. The seeds they sowed produce fruits in their places, even if they do not work at it. I send greetings to each and every one of our brothers and offer prayers for them. My dear loyal brothers, firstly, I congratulate you with all my life and spirit on the blessed 10 nights and holy festival. Through His mercy and munificence and protection and support and aid and guidance, may Almighty God grant you success in the printing and publication of the Risale-i Nur and the printing of the Qur'an of miraculous exposition which shows the coincidences. Amen. Secondly, for a long time I have recited in the Tesbihat following the prescribed prayers the 33 phrases expressing divine unity, which are like an epitome of the supreme sign, and the Hizb-i Nuriye, which are summaries of the Risale-i Nur. Most of the truths of the Risale-i Nur unfold on reciting the Tesbihat, and my imagination expands enormously. All the realms of creatures in the cosmos recite each of those phrases through the tongues of their beings, and I, as though recite them through their tongues, and that universal tongue of being becomes one with my particular spoken word. I recite them with pure pleasure and am sending you a copy. I have no doubt now that this epitome of the Hizb-i Nuriye that can be recited in 15 minutes holds the mystery of the Hadith, an hour's reflection, the same as the Hizb-i Nuriye. Those people who do not know Arabic will understand this Arabic piece perfectly if they have a good understanding of the degrees in the supreme sign. If they take a look at both of them a few times, they will understand it fully. I recite it once every 24 hours, either following the Tesbihat after the morning prayers or at some other time when I feel fed up or distressed. It gives me a feeling of elevated expansiveness and banishes the boredom. It will be appropriate to append it to the supreme sign and Hizb-i Nuriye. It is meaningful that just as the majority of the truths of the supreme sign and the Risale-i Nur were imparted during Ramadan and the Tesbihat, so was the epitome imparted during Ramadan and the Tesbihat. Thirdly, I received news recently that the cabinet has decided to transfer my official registration from Kastamonu to Emirdağ. It is understood that they cannot find any reason to bother the Risale-i Nur and its students, so they direct attention to my unimportant self and make records of everything. I assure you that I proudly accept with all my life and spirit their bothering me instead of bothering the Risale-i Nur and its students. As though in other places they fix themselves on me, but can find no way to prevent them, and now suppose that here they have found the solution and treat me like this. But don't be upset by this, my situation here will lead to triumphs for the Risale-i Nur students. It is my conviction that divine providence and mercy will transform this injustice of the world towards me into considerable advantages. In any event, in our way, time and place cannot be an obstacle to our conversing. We are together whether in the east or west, or even the next world, or in the intermediate realm. For instance, Hafiz Ali, may God be pleased with him, in the intermediate realm, is every day with us in spirit. In consequence, we attach no importance to apparent separation or death even. Fourthly, it was truly subtle The Nightingale of Marangoz Ahmet, one of the heroes of the Nur school, affirming the Nightingale of the blessed Rose scribe of the Rose factory. Anyway, in the spring, the nightingales act as orators for all the birds in the face of the caravans of plants bringing provisions for the animals, and they applaud them in the name of the other birds. Surely, the nightingale should be seen as foremost amongst the birds that are concerned with the Risale-i Nur, and it has been seen. Our sincere, steadfast friend from Safranbolu, Mustafa Osman, says that he sent letters to our brothers here but is worried at receiving no reply. He shouldn't be worried. A separate letter wasn't sent to him out of caution and relying on communications via Sparta. They shouldn't be anxious, nor should our brothers in Kastamonu. My official registration being transferred here will not diminish my concern for them. On the contrary, it binds me to them more strongly. Most of the time, in meaning and imagination, I find myself in the blessed mountains of Kastamonu together with those brothers of mine. My dear loyal brothers and true heirs, I have received numerous letters congratulating me on the festival. I don't have the time to answer all of them, and my circumstances don't allow it. One of our select brothers wrote all the letters for many other brothers, and some of them contain other important points which pleased and gratified me. In short, Hüsrev's letter of congratulation in the name of the Rose and Light factories made me weeping for joy. In fact, one of Hüsrev's distinguishing characteristics is that not one of the letters I have received to date has offended me. They are soothing, even if they arrive at grievous times, and relieve my spirit. For myself, I am most grateful to him in this respect too. Hulusi II, Sabri's congratulatory letter on account of the known brothers filled me with profound joy. Those special brothers of ours being ahead in appreciation and praise, and their fine words about Hüsrev and Hasan Feyzi indeed made me happy. And Hasan Feyzi's congratulations in the name of the Denizli students showed also his lofty connection and powerful concern. The letter of congratulation of Feyzi and Emin, the Hüsrev and Rüştü of Kastamonu, in the name of its devotees, and they writing that the incident Feyzi was involved in was nothing to cause concern, on the contrary, had become like a whip of encouragement, dispelled our anxieties. Nazif's letter of congratulation in the name of the brothers of that region, and his unshakable loyalty and attachment and powerful help, allowed us to breathe freely. I was anxious because of the personal rivals he had. I received the congratulations sent by Halil Ibrahim, may God be pleased with him, whose courage is as powerful as his loyalty, which he had sent directly to my address. I sent my greetings first and foremost to himself and the Risale-i Nur's cautious lawyer and to all of them, and congratulate them on the festival. One of the heroes of the Nur school, Şükrü Efes' letter, which shows the birds and sparrows' interest, corroborates the heroic carpenter's corroboration and also pleased us. We haven't found the time to reply to the question in Ali Osman's letter, who is one of our brothers in Atabey and an heir of Lütfi. With all our life and spirit we congratulate each and every one of these brothers and the friends whom they represent, and give 1,000 welcomes to our brother Refat the elder. And I conclude my words by congratulating on this the third of your festivals, the groups of innocent children, unlettered elderly, and self-sacrificing sisters among all our brethren, and offering prayers for their well-being and happiness. My dear loyal brothers, the collection called the ratifying stamp of the unseen, of the blessed one's champion and Abdurrahman's hero, Küçük Ali, who is small in name but great in spirit, is indeed fine and appropriate. He arrived together with the books which belonged to the martyr Hafız Ali. It would, however, be better if the letters you deem appropriate in the additional letters especially in Emirdağ layıkası, about the Risale-i Nur's wonder working. For instance, about the earthquakes, rain, and birds are included at the end of the ratifying stamp of the unseen. In this connection, I again congratulate the auspicious group on the festival and Küçük Ali 1,000 times over. I have read the admirable letter of self-sacrificing Mustafa Osman, the Safranbolu champion, which he sent to the students here. Like Hasan Feyzi, he wrote in a fine, literary style and showed his extraordinary loyalty and goodwill. However, he credited me with a station far higher than is my due. Instead of ascribing it to the Risale-i Nur's collective personality, he saw his master to be very brilliant in his own shining mirror. So I accepted his commendation as a prayer. We congratulate both himself and our brothers in that district on the festival. My dear loyal brothers, up until the present, covert dissemblers have attacked the Risale-i Nur by deceiving members of the government, making use of the law and judiciary, and from the point of view of public security and administration. And we, when forced to, assumed a defensive position because we act positively. Now their plans have been confounded. Indeed, their assaults extended the Risale-i Nur's influence. Our intention now to print the staff of Moses in the new letters seems as though the Risale-i Nur is being made to assume an offensive stance outside our will. A significant reason for this must be as follows. I reckon that because the Risale-i Nur is a spiritual savior of this blessed land, the time has come, or will come, for it to make an appearance in the world of publishing and to give instruction in order to repulse two awesome calamities. One of those calamities is the awesome current of irreligion which has emerged to the north and breeds anarchy and has defeated Christianity. It occurred to my heart that similarly to the barrier of Zulkarnain, the Risale-i Nur might act as a Qur'anic barrier against the flood overrunning this blessed country, and that it had become necessary to speak with the printed word in order to reply to and dispel the fierce criticisms and accusations of the Islamic world against this country's people. I am not informed about the state of the world, but just as the Risale-i Nur's truths are a fortress withstanding the monstrous current which is overwhelming Europe and is not based on the revealed religions, so too those truths are a Qur'anic miracle which may dispel the present objections and accusations of the Islamic world and continent of Asia and regain their love and brotherhood. This country's patriotic politicians should come quickly to their senses and publish the Risale-i Nur officially, so that it may act as a shield against those two calamities. I wonder if it had not been for the Risale-i Nur's so potently spreading certain affirmative belief in this blessed land these last 20 years, would this land have been able to preserve its Qur'an and believe from the terrible blows of the revolutions and explosions of this dreadful age? However, the Risale-i Nur may not attack due to its allegedly harming the country and government. They can no longer get anyone to believe such a thing. But now, switching their front and behind the veil of religion, the dissemblers are employing sly tricks to use simple-minded hojas or supporters of innovation or egotistical sophistically inclined people against the Risale-i Nur, as they did 2 years ago in Istanbul. And in the region of Denizli, they are trying to attack the Risale-i Nur and its students on another front. God willing, they will not succeed. So, acting with perfect caution and circumspection, the Risale-i Nur students should pay no attention when they are attacked and should not get drawn into arguments. If they are attacked by religious scholars or believers who have been deceived, they should be friendly towards them and pacify them, saying, "We don't bother you, you don't bother us." Secondly, Küçük Ali, small in name but great in spirit, a hero among the blessed who bears a resemblance to both Abdurrahman and Lutfi and Hafiz Ali the elder, asks a question. Its answer, however, is written in 100 places in the Risale-i Nur. He asks, what is the reason for the great concentration of arguments concerning the pillars of belief in the Risale-i Nur? Our former teachers taught us that a great science belief is similar to that of an ordinary believer. The answer: both in the Supreme Sign, in the discussion about the degrees of belief, and near its end is a statement of Imam Rabbani, the regenerator of the second millennium, which says, the end and most important aim of all the Sufi paths is the unfolding of the truth of belief. Clarity and certainty in a single matter of belief is preferable to thousands of illuminations and instances of wonder working. Also, the part of the letter right at the end of the Supreme Sign, taken from the additional letters, and the explanations of all of it, answer the question, as does the 10th topic of the fruits of belief, which is about repetition in the Qur'an, and the fact that the wisdom of the frequently repeated emphasis on divine unity and the pillars of belief in the Qur'an is present in just the same way in the Risale-i Nur, which is a true commentary on it. Furthermore, all the sections of the Risale-i Nur which explain the nature of certain affirmative belief, iman-ı tahkiki, imitative, taklidi belief, abbreviated belief, and detailed belief, and demonstrate that belief will withstand and remain unshaken in the face of all assaults, misgivings, and doubts, form such an answer to Küçük Ali's letter that no need remains for me to add to them. Second aspect: belief is not restricted to a brief and imitative assent. It has degrees and unfolds from being seed-like to being a mighty date palm, and from resembling the sun which appears in the mirror you hold in your hand to resembling its reflection on the surface of the sea, and even to the sun in the sky. Similarly, belief is related to the above number of truths, to thousands of divine names, and to the truth of the universe pertaining to the pillars of belief. It is for this reason that those who have penetrated to the realities have stated anonymously that the greatest of all sciences, knowledge, and human attainments and perfections are belief and the detailed sacred knowledge of God based on proof which springs from certain affirmative belief. Imitative belief may be swiftly overcome by doubts. Being much more powerful and comprehensive, certain affirmative belief contains numerous degrees. One of these is the degree of knowledge of certainty, which may withstand thousands of doubts with the strength of its many proofs, whereas imitative belief may sometimes defeat it by a single doubt. There is also a degree of certain affirmative belief known as the vision of certainty, and that contains numerous degrees. Indeed, it contains degrees to the number of manifestations of the divine names. It reaches the degree at which the whole universe may be read as though it were a Qur'an. Another of its degrees is absolute certainty, which also contains numerous degrees. If troops of doubts assail persons with such belief, they cannot provoke any confusion. The thousands of books written by the scholars of the science of theology, based on reason and logic, have demonstrated only one way, based on proofs and reasoning, of that belief and knowledge of God. And the hundreds of books based on illumination and spiritual unfolding of the people of reality have depicted another aspect of that belief and knowledge of God. However, the truths of belief and sacred knowledge of God, which the miraculous highway of the Qur'an points out, far surpasses in strength and loftiness those of the scholars and saints. The Risale-i Nur, then, expounds the latter all-embracing, universal, and elevated highway of knowledge and replies in the name of the Qur'an and belief to the general destructive currents which for 1,000 years have acted against the Qur'an on account of the worlds of non-existence to the detriment of Islam and humanity. It defends against them. It therefore certainly needs to muster innumerable forces so that, through the light of the Qur'an, it may be the means of withstanding those innumerable enemies and of preserving the faith of believers. It is written in a hadith, should one person come to believe through you, It is better for you than a plain full of red sheep, and that sometimes an hour's reflective thoughts may be better than a year's worship. In fact, the great importance the Naqshbandis attach to inward remembrance of God is in order to attain to reflective thought of this kind. We send thousands of greetings to all our brothers and offer prayers for them. Overlook any errors. This was written in haste. You may correct it. The enduring one, he is the enduring one, your brother Said Nursi.